Deep reflection is a major part of life. When one is able to examine his conscience and see his true identity, only then can we hope for a genuine repentance. Listen, I have a story for you, and it is true reflection. Once in the kingdom of Olorun, between vast savannas and towering mountains, lay a peaceful village called Ebia. Ebia was known not just for its fertile lands and harmonious people, but for a sacred tradition that had been upheld for generations. In this village, a powerful law governed marriage. Any man who dared sleep with a married woman would be cursed and turned into a beast, living out the rest of his days in exile from the human world. This law was more than just a rule. It was a bond between the village and the spirits of the land, enforced by ancient magic. The village was ruled by a wise and just king, Oba Aderemi, and his son Prince Ola was admired by all. The prince was strikingly handsome, tall, with skin that gleamed like polished ebony, and eyes that glowed with the fire of youth. Women from all corners of the kingdom admired him, hoping to catch his eyes. But despite all the attention, Prince Ola had his heart set on one particular maiden, Abeni. Abeni was a humble, beautiful maiden, with a heart as kind as the sun that shone upon the village. She was not swayed by wealth, power, or influence, and while she respected the prince, she did not feel the same way about him. She had fallen in love with a quiet, strong man named Duro, a humble farmer from a neighboring village. Duro was not a man of influence, but he was hardworking, honest, and loved Abeni deeply. One day, Prince Ola approached Abeni, professing his love and asking for her hand in marriage. But Abeni, with respect and gentleness, told the prince that her heart already belonged to another. Humiliated and enraged by the rejection, Prince Ola could not accept that this maiden, who had neither title nor wealth, would refuse him. His pride wounded, he vowed to use his influence to ensure that Abeni would never marry anyone else. The prince tried everything within his power to prevent Abeni and Duro's union. He spread rumors about Duro, tried to ruin his reputation, and even used his position to block their marriage. But love, stronger than all forces, found a way. Abeni and Duro, determined to be together, married in secret, with the blessing of the village elders, who revealed the purity of their love. When word of their secret marriage reached Prince Ola, his heart filled with uncontrollable rage. Consumed by his wounded pride, he decided that if he couldn't have Abeni, no one would. One night, under the cover of darkness, the prince stormed into Abeni's home, blinded by jealousy and hatred. He beat her mercilessly and in his fury committed the unforgivable act. He slept with her, breaking the sacred law of Ibia. As soon as the prince committed this heinous crime, the air around him thickened and a deep, scary sound echoed through the village. The winds began to howl and the earth beneath him trembled. Prince Ola felt a searing pain rip through his body. His bones twisted, his skin grew coarse, and his once handsome face began to contour into something monstrous. He fell to the ground, writhing in agony as his human form slowly morphed into that of a hideous beast, half man, half creature. His transformation was complete, and he howled into the night, a sound so terrible that the villagers awoke, rushing out of their homes in fear. The prince, now a beast, fled into the wilderness, far from human sight, to live in exile as the curse decreed. The next morning, the village was abused with the news of the prince's crime and his subsequent transformation. King Oba Aderemi, stricken with grief over his son's fate, sought out the village's wisest elders and the most powerful spiritual healers, hoping to find a way to break the curse. The elders consulted the ancient texts, and the spiritual healers prayed to the spirits of the land. Days turned into weeks, and the king grew desperate. But finally, a solution was found. To break the curse, the prince would need to go through a long and difficult ritual. The conditions were strict. For a full season, Prince Ola would not come in contact with water. No rain, no river, no stream would touch his skin. But the most challenging part of the ritual was that at the end, the prince would have to face his true reflection. He would have to look into an object that would show him both his physical appearance and his heart. But how is this possible? The people wondered. Since the prince was not supposed to get close to water, the king sent for a wise elder named Mbeki. He was deeply respected for his knowledge of the ancient ways and his ability to communicate with the spirits of the land. Mbeki would often sit under the great Iroko tree, where he would listen to the whispers of the wind and the secrets of the earth. After imploring Mbeki to find a way around the situation, he sat in his normal spot where he meditated beneath the tree. The wind brought with it a strange song, one that spoke of a gift hidden deep within the forest. It told of a magical object, one that could show people the truth of themselves. Mbeki called for a group of young, brave villagers. Amara, a skilled huntress, Kofi, a talented blacksmith, and Zuberi, a storyteller, whose words had the power to heal and inspire. The four set off into the forest, guided by the songs of the wind and the wisdom of Mbeki. For days they traveled, facing challenges that tested their courage. Finally, they arrived at a hidden grove, a place so still and serene that it seemed untouched by time. In the center of the grove was a lake, its water shimmering with an otherworldly glow. This was no ordinary lake. It was the fabled lake of truth, a sacred place where the spirits of the land gathered. Mbeki knelt beside the lake and whispered to the water. Slowly, the surface began to ripple, and from its depths emerged a glowing figure, Nyame, the sky goddess and guardian of the lake. "Why have you come to my sacred waters?" Nyame asked in a voice that echoed through the trees. "We seek the truth," Mbeki replied. "We seek the object that reveals one's true identity." Nyame smiled, her luminous eyes soft with understanding. The truth of one's reflection lies not only in what is seen, but also in what is felt. If you wish to have this object, you must first prove your worth. She explained that each of the travelers must face a trial that tested their inner strength. Only then would she grant them the right to this object. The travelers agreed, and after passing through different tests and trials, they were allowed to take with them the mysterious object they came for. When the travelers arrived at the village, the king sent messengers into the wilderness, searching for the beast that was once his son. After many days, they found him, living like an animal, unrecognizable except for the fire of regret in his eyes. With great effort, they brought him back to the village. The ritual began under the watchful eyes of the spiritual healers, and for months, the prince was kept in isolation, away from water, as the rains came and went. As the final part of the ritual approached, the prince grew anxious. He feared what his true reflection might show. The last step required him to look into the sacred object that could reveal not only his outward appearance, but the truth of his heart. When the day came, the village gathered at the foot of the great mountains to experience what the fate of the prince would be. The mirror, ancient and mystical, sat beside a huge stone. Prince Ola, staying in his beast form, was led to the mirror by the healers. With trembling hands, he stood before it and gazed into its depths. At first, he saw only the beast, the creature he had become, monstrous and terrifying. But as he looked deeper, the mirror began to shift slowly and the image of the beast melted away, revealing the man he once was. Yet there was more. The mirror showed him the truth of his heart, the arrogance, the pride, the jealousy that had driven him to commit such terrible acts. It showed him the pain he had caused Abeni, the shame he had brought upon himself and his family. Tears, hot and bitter, welled up in his eyes. For the first time, Prince Ola truly saw himself, and in that moment of deep self-reflection, something within him broke. His heart, hardened by pride, softened with genuine remorse. As the prince wept, his beastly form began to fade. His limbs straightened, his skin smoothened, and his face returned to that of the handsome man he once was. The curse had been lifted, but the scars of his actions would remain forever etched in his soul. Though Prince Ola was forgiven, he knew that he could never return to the life he once knew. He renounced his claim to the throne and chose a life of humility, spending his days helping the people of the village, especially those he had wronged. The village of Ibia continued to uphold this sacred tradition, and this story of Prince Ola's fall and redemption was passed down through generations as a reminder that true beauty comes not from outward appearances, but from the heart within. Thank you for watching these interesting stories. There are more to come. Don't forget to leave a comment and subscribe if you have not done so. My name is Thank God, and this is SY Times.